let's talk about editing. And 5 nominees here. All of them are from the Best Picture category as well. American Hustle, Captain Phillips, Dallas Buyers Club, Gravity, and 12 Years a Slave. For me, I think all these were, well edited, though I'm not quite on board with American Hustle, but that's my personal problem. I think Gravity was so tightly paced and so well done. There's not a wasted second in that movie. Even though it sort of stops and takes its time sometimes, there's not 1 second you're not glued to the screen. And to me, that's all about the editing. It would be very easy to lose the audience by sticking with something for too long or making something take too much time when it's like, come on, get on with it. So for that movie in particular, I think that's a particularly tough challenge. And so for me, Gravity is the obvious choice there.
Yeah, it was good. I think American Hustle is the divisive film here because for me, the 140 minutes just flew by very quickly. So I really like that one.
You do, right?
I know. It's what can I say?
It just makes you get in the film,
But if we go by, this is the part where every year I say the film that wins Best Editing wins Best Picture. So if I'm going to say 12 Years a Slave will win Best Editing.
And I will argue that, and it's the same argument I made when I talked about seeing it earlier. There are certain scenes in the film where they don't cut away.
That's sort of the other thing. I think there's definitely – because editing isn't just about what you leave out, it's about what you leave in.
Yeah.
And there's this particular scene we'll talk about probably when we get to the Best Picture discussion where literally you're like, just stop.
It's uncomfortable.
Please stop.
Yeah.
But leaving that in there just hammers it home that this is real. This happened to people. This happened to human beings, and other human beings did this to them.
It's so hard, though, because, that's a director's choice more than an editor's choice.
That's
right?
true. That's true.
Especially that scene. I mean, Steve McQueen has said,
but
this needed to be shown.
Yeah. And at the same time, though, it's kind of a double-edged sword because they could have still shown it during that same amount of time, but it was just that one shot.
Yeah.
And so I think you might be sort of onto something with sort of the direction of that particular scene, but there's definitely and basically the argument I made earlier in a past episode was as a moviegoer, you're just automatically like, okay, let's go, and it's like that practicality of saying, no, we're going to stay here. We're going to make you look at this longer, I think is somewhat an editing choice because by the time they finally cut away from that, I was like, I'm not comfortable watching this, but we could keep going.
Yeah.
Which is a weird feeling.
Yeah.
Especially when you're just like a movie like Gravity, you're just like, go, 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 go.
Yeah.
So, and that's the other thing too with Gravity. A lot of the editing, especially early in the film, is seamless. Like there's obvious edits in the movie, but they're hidden. And then it doesn't really become more apparent until later on in the film.
Also, the thing about Gravity is that Gravity is basically on a timer from the moment the movie, 10 minutes into the movie, it's on a timer, and it has to end by this point one way or another. So, that helps a lot with the editing where it's like, well, we have to make it, we have to get going because the audience is going to be wondering, why is this taking so much time? This person's in mortal peril.
Yeah. I did think 12 Years a Slave, too, did have very deft use of interweaving with the flashbacks and the present day part of the movie I thought was very good.
Yeah, whenever you do that, there's a big danger of losing the audience. There was another movie that Blue Jasmine did that, and I was totally confused for the first half hour.
Yeah, Blue Jasmine
12 Years a Slave, I didn't have a problem with it at all.
I think I knew Jasmine because I had heard there were flashbacks.
Yeah, I had no idea.
I was kind of surprised that Wolf of Wall Street wasn't nominated here. Just because.
Yeah. Well, no, I was saying to me that's been the number one complaint of that film because Thelma Schumacher, who I heard had to whittle it down from a 4-hour movie to a 3-hour at the last minute. I mean, there's a lot of I heard people complaining about shots that didn't match and continuity problems, and I didn't have a problem with it. But
the thing to me though is watching American Hustle and Dallas Buyers Club, especially those are films that are influenced by her editing.
Yeah,
like
definitely.
those quick little montages, like suitcases closing and the buckles and stuff like that. That is purely her
inserts.
And to have those ones nominated and not her work, which I thought was great in Wolf of Wall Street, was a little strange to me. But I think Gravity's probably going to win this one.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
Well, and maybe an argument for Gravity in that case too is because since you're on a timer, and I'm assuming it's such a effects film that you kind of have to plan the editing as well. So now that I say it out loud, it makes me want to think like, well, no, it was already planned. So really, there isn't much editing involved. But
yeah,
at what stage does the editor, come into play?
Yeah, with Gravity, it's not like, well,
the director's also the editor, so I guess he was on set.
Yeah. With Gravity, it's not like, let's just leave the camera rolling and see what happens. It's like, no, it's very carefully planned. There's a couple scenes like in the space pod or whatever where you could just kind of let the camera roll and see what happens. But most of that stuff is you have to very carefully plan every second of it. So I would agree that the editing is, probably not as big a factor as maybe the directing in that case.
A Place for Film is recorded at WFIU Studios in Bloomington, Indiana.